This, of course, is Moazzam Begg. Thank you very much for coming. Producer Roger Graef, executive producer, producer James Rogan, and our director Ashish Ghadiali. Please join me in welcoming them. Thank you. I think something on everyone's mind is just how you started to make this film. Let's start with two parts. Like, how did you start to make this film? How did you get acquainted with each other? What was the genesis of this film?
I approached. I'd read about Moazzam's release from Belmarsh in October 2014, and I contacted him. Through the NGO Cage that he works with, just as an independent filmmaker, asked to meet him and told him that I was interested in embarking on a single interview film. I mean, essentially I framed it as, I guess my concern was to tell, through his life, to tell the story of the era that we've passed, the war on terror. I mean, Moazzam's own journey sort of engages with geopolitics, with the Bosnian War, and kind of takes us through all of those conflicts up to the rise of ISIS. So I thought there was an interesting frame there. But my own personal concern was that the war on terror has undermined the fabric of multiculturalism here in Britain. And so I wanted to see if I could fuse all of that together.
And what was your reaction, Moazzam?
I remember when I met Ashish first and we got talking, and I think he described me as like the Muslim Forrest Gump. Because I'm present at all of these junctures of history and important points. I just there. I just didn't do the running part. But in all honesty, I think what Ashish has done and James have done is something phenomenal. It's, when you know something is right, you have something that would assist greatly an answer, and you just can't say it because the wave, the tidal wave against you is so harsh. You can't stand up against it, but you've got an answer that would help to assist the problem. And I think that what he's helped to do here, and what everybody's helped to do here in relation to getting this film out, is to not only help to stop the tidal wave, but also to push back a little bit.
How long did you spend together interviewing and filming?
It was 2 days. I mean, I met Moazzam the first time. I went to his house, met him in Birmingham, asked him, basically kind of, just said, like, this is what I will do, but I don't think we should meet again. The next time we meet should be on camera. So, I mean, it then took months, to sort of start getting it together. Got James on board. We sort of set up an interview space, and then that was the second time that we met. Then, so we did the interview over 2 days.
You have a very interesting off-camera presence as the as the interviewer. Did you talk about that? Was it constructed as a conversation?
No. I actually didn't ever think that the questions were going to be in, but as the editing process, yeah. So actually, to be honest, I was a bit sort of disconcerted for a while that my
You're stealing my word there about the sun.
Yeah, right. I didn't particularly want to be part of the film, but we found as we progressed through the editing process that that you kind of needed, I guess, to reach a broader audience. The questions became a kind of a part of the drama.
And I should add to that, which is that it was Ash's perspective was an important perspective within the film, and the questions helped bring that perspective into the film. So it's very much that when Ash was talking about it, and I'm sure he'll say that as a British Asian, he's experienced some of the aftermath of all these events. So his voice actually, as we watched the cuts, became more and more important.
When Ollie from Doc, go on, Roger.
I just want to say something slightly about the wider context in the BBC, because this is backed by the BFI and the BBC. It was my role as executive producer was to make sure that the film, which I'm very grateful for what Moazzam said about it, was not seen in some way as simply an apologia by you, and that without any knowledge of what Ash's position was, or as it were, the filmmaker. And so we wanted to present your testimony as if it were independent, and it was independently verified, as it were, by these questions. And we found that the questions were very helpful, because in the early cuts we kept saying, well, what's the director's point of view? What he's saying all this, but what does anybody else feel about it? So it was a way of rendering the film, as it were, more independently tested. And we did a lot of fact-checking and things that you don't even know about, just to make sure that what you were saying we felt was accurate, that we could stand by it. That's why I'm up here, and that's why Nick Fraser was up yesterday, and why we're proud of the film.
I mean, on the subject of my voice, though, we are actually talking to George Clooney at the moment to dub over. That's why my face isn't in it.
I thought more Ralph Fiennes.
Well, it depends
Moazzam,
on which territory.
do you have a preferred actor for the feature version?
You probably have to be a Bollywood actor, I'm afraid.
Tom Cruise is the right height.
The right height, yeah.
Any questions from the audience? Let's take some. Yes. Yes.
First of all, it's a wonderful film. Thank you. I am an American, and I'm curious about distribution and if we will get it. And I also want to know or what your thoughts are about the next several years. I lived in Orlando for many, many years, and we know what happened this past weekend, and I'm frightened. I'm frightened for my country. I'm frightened for this world, and I don't know. I was just talking to a friend this morning. I don't know what I can do as a single individual, and you've done, you're so eloquent in speaking about this.
There's something that the film makes very, very short reference to, but it's not explored further, and there are reasons for that. But that was my relationship that came out of Guantanamo with some of the guards and even the interrogators. Now, it's important to recognize in the US military, fraternization with the enemy is a crime that you can be demoted for and beyond, and even imprisoned. Yet there are several American soldiers, numerous American soldiers, who were not only friends then, they're friends now. Some of them have come to my house and met with that child, who was here yesterday, by the way, who grew up not knowing what a father was. And that relationship grew and built up in Guantanamo. And I just want to give you one, it's a short anecdote, but it's an important one, and it's about chocolate. One of the soldiers, she was from the Virgin Islands, and she brought one day to me a Cadbury's cream egg to show her solidarity with me, and actually show her humanity. And that was contraband. Anything like that is contraband. So I'd have to eat the thing and then pass back the trash or the rubbish. And she wanted to do this because it was from England, just like me. In fact, it's from Birmingham originally, like me. And what I didn't tell her was that I hate Cadbury's cream egg, just like I hate Mars. But I gritted my teeth and swallowed the damn thing. And that's the sort of levels we have to go to sometimes to build these friendships up. On a serious note, these people are still my friends. We're friends on Facebook. We've spoken many times. And the US military machine never expected that to come out of this. They never expected these kind of friendships to come out of this. So there is a story of hope out of this that isn't explored enough, because I'm happy to welcome them in my home, as I have done. America is not yet ready, after 11 years, to reciprocate.
And with the distribution, Dogwolf is the distributor.
We really, really hope the film will go to America and will also be a reason for America to let Moazzam go to America and support the film as well. However unlikely that might be, I mean, that would be a great step forward in understanding that that things need to move on. you know, and someone like Moazzam who's done everything that he's done, you know, that America should acknowledge that his voice is important.
Yeah, more questions. Yes, you, Miss, your hand up.
Well, thank you for the film.
Wait for the mic.
I just want to thank you again for this presentation, which is really impressive. This question is, for you, having experienced, it seems, the absolute, you know, worst places in this world, so many times and throughout so many years, and yet you're here standing in front of an audience, so level-headed, wearing, you know, a shirt and watch, and completely integrated into society, and speaking to us about all these horrors. What is it you would say that has kept you going throughout all of this experience and allows you to be here now to talk to us like this?
It's a difficult question. Everything and nothing. My faith, my personal faith, my faith in humanity, my faith in people. I've just been mesmerized now again by the whole story of the death of Muhammad Ali, who's one of my great heroes, and he's, I think, I met him in 1992, I remember, and I'd stood in a queue for about an hour in the rain to get a copy of his signed book, and he signed it, and I had the guts to say to him, "You're the champ." And he turned around and he looked at somebody and he said, "Did he just call me a tramp?" And he'd had Parkinson's, you know, strongly by then, but he could still say things. And to me, that's the type of humanity that transcends. He's very strong in his faith. He was a Muslim, he lived a Muslim, and he died a Muslim. And he brought that name Muhammad, which is intrinsic to the belief of all Muslims, on the lips of everyone in the world. So that was very important to him. But then so was his reaching out to people. Saddam Hussein, of all people, during the Gulf War, released only a few hostages, but Muhammad Ali was one of those people that when he flew out to Iraq in the first Gulf War, he handed him a whole group of American hostages. So for me, it's trying to rise out of my experience and to use the experience for a purpose greater than just to tell my story. I'm sick of telling my story. I want something greater to come out of it.
Yes, well, I echo the congratulations. An extraordinary film, very extraordinary. I'm just interested in the role of your shadowy friend, Andrew. And are you still in touch?
You know, if there's going to be one oft-repeated question after all these films, it's that. Everybody wants to know, where's Andrew? And one day I think Andrew's just going to walk out and say, "Here I am." And we're going to shake hands, embrace, and then I'm going to just give him a little slap on his backside or something.
We keep expecting him to turn up at one of these viewings.
Yeah. I don't know. I've said this before yesterday. Is if Andrew's around, there's some. I'm happy. I've always been happy to speak to the security services in terms of dialogue. I've never been against dialogue, but I think the security services are afraid now. I really think that. I mean, think about this. I know there were a few laughs in the film, but I expected one laugh when nobody laughed, and I thought, why not? Imagine if MI5 calls you, and they say, "Okay, we'll get back to you about this." And then they call back and say, "Our lawyer will be present." And why are you scared of me for? Shouldn't it be the other way around? And why didn't you guys laugh at that?
I'm afraid we've come to the end of our time. I'm so sorry, but we can continue the conversation in the lobby if you want to. I want you to join me in welcoming and thanking Moazzam Begg, producer James Rogan, and director Ashish Ghadiali for this incredible screening of The Confession. Thank you.